In this video, we're going commando. How's it going, everyone? My name is Alan the Apathetic Fish, and today we're painting an Ork Kommando from the new box of Kill Team Octarius. I decided to go for a dark blue and pale green as this is my favorite scheme for orcs, but if you need to paint any other orc culture, you can change the colors accordingly. I am going to use a mixture of CITADEL colors and scale 75 as those are the colors that I have available. And those are the colors that I mostly use, but you can substitute any color for whatever color you see fit from any other ranges, as long as it's close enough. Now, if you're ready, let's get to it. Glad to be back doing a painting video. Today I'm pulling out my Redgrass Games wet palette with their new reusable paper. Great palette, by the way, and I'm going to start by adding a bit of Ork flesh to it and adding a tiny bit of water. I'm going to start by having my model built and primed. In this case I went for a zenithal priming, which is a very good start when you're trying to figure out a new scheme. It is just a black primer with white ink sprayed from above with an airbrush. I believe any white primer or off-white primer color is going to be the best for painting orcs with this method, as the main skin color orc flesh or even greens in general don't cover very well over other colors, and having a white base would help a lot with coverage. With a lightly thinned down orc flesh, I am painting all of the skin areas around the model, and I'm giving it a second coat once this one dries. The next color I decided to paint is KANTOR blue, and with this color I'm going to paint any details that I want to be blue. This orc doesn't have as many armored parts as I would prefer to paint those blue, and so I decided to paint the shirt in this color. What really fascinated me and made me want to paint my orcs like this is the artwork behind the box of the Boomdaka's Nas wagon. And there you can see a very dark deep blue with a very pale skin on the orcs. I think it looks very nice. Next I'm going to use CASTELLAN green, and with this color I'm going to paint the pants. You can use this color to paint other areas of your orcs, such as cloth, or pieces that are not going to be the blue main color or the green for the skin. Also Skaven Black Dinge, I like that color a lot for painting those areas too. At this point I'm just blocking in all of the areas of the orc. Once we are done with all of the colors, we can go to washing the miniature. Next I'm going to paint the leather, and for that I'm going to use RHINOX hide. This is going to go all over the backpack and all of the leather straps around the model. I'm using a size 2 Redgrass Games brush, and I would recommend you to use any Kolinsky high quality paint brush for watercolor that is size 2 or similar. Here I'm being as neat as possible, not to get into other places that I've already painted, and trying to block in all of the areas that are painted in the primer color. Next I'm going to paint all of the black areas, and for that I'm going to use the Artist Range Black from scale 75. I really like this color. I like the finish and I like the usability that I can thin it down and stretch it out a lot. I like it a lot, but any black paint that you own is going to probably be fine. Any black paint that you like, use that. In this particular model, only the boots are going to be black, so that's going to be very easy. And for the most part, when I paint models, I don't highlight black areas unless they're prominent or important. For my tabletop standard, I prefer to only highlight those areas that are important. In this case, the skin is very important and the blue color. So most of my orcs won't have highlights on these areas. Next, I'm very quickly going to base coat all of the teeth, and you can use this also on the nails with Steel Legion DRAB. I also use another color from Scale 75 called Walnut, and I typically use that color instead to base coat teeth and nails and anything like that too. Just make sure to be very careful not to paint on the other areas that we've already painted. Now that we're done with the normal colors, I'm going to move to the metals, and I'm going to use black metal, my favorite genre and my favorite paint. This is a dark silver paint, and this is going to go over all of the metal parts, all of the bare metal or iron parts of this model. As we approach finishing all of the base coats, we have to be increasingly neat with the application of this paint, not to paint on other areas, and just be very careful and apply a good coat of this paint over all of the metal. Now my final base coat is going to be gold, and for that I went for Viking gold to paint all of the gold areas around this model. This is a very yellowy gold at the end, so it goes well against the blue and the green, but I wasn't sure when I wanted to take it. Maybe I was going to take it to an orangey gold brass or something like that, but I decided at the end to go for this color instead. You can see me here painting over another copper color, and I think this color is going to look better. Next comes the fun part, which is using contrast paints and washes. I'm going to start with orc flesh with contrast medium, and I'm going to mix them in a 1:1 ratio. This is to tone down the intensity of the contrast paint and use it a little bit more lightly because the skin tone is very light. I'm applying this color as a wash, letting it sit on the recesses and really darken those areas. And on the surface of the skin, I'm just going to let it tint the surface for a more vibrant look. Now comes the Nuln oil, and as usual I'm going to use it straight from the pot, and I'm going to just spread it out evenly as much as I can, not letting it pull too much in any area. I want this wash to sit on the recesses and contour the shapes. Most of the colors that I used on this miniature would benefit from a dark wash like this, so I'm pretty much just applying it all over the miniature except for the skin, which already has its green tint. I'm just leaving the teeth and the gold to apply a different wash later. Finally, I'm applying some Agrax Earthshade, and this is going to go over the gold and the teeth. There's not much else to say about this step. It's exactly the same as the Nuln oil. Now that I'm done with all of the colors, I'm going to start highlighting again, starting with Orc Flesh. This is the base coat color that we use for the skin, and I'm going to apply it once more to clean up all of the major areas, focusing on the places that are on top, where light would hit, as we saw with the Zenithal priming. It's best to apply a couple coats to reach full opacity. Next, I'm using ORCISH DERMIS from Scale 75 Fantasy range, and this is sort of a salmon pink flesh tone that I'm going to use on the lips of the orc. You can use any other pink skin tone you like, or you can add a little bit of red to your skin tone to make a similar color. I'm only going to apply this on the lower lip of the orc and leave the rest as it is. Next, I'm going to highlight the skin of the orc, and for that I'm going to use golden skin, and I'm going to mix it up with the Orc flesh, and I'm going to try and find a color in between the two. And with that color, I'm going to start highlighting the areas that are on top. In this step, you can just grab a small amount of paint and start applying it on the very top parts of the models where you can see it from the top, and just start highlighting those areas, just applying thin layers and a little bit more closer to the center the more you apply it, so that you create a transition. Now I'm going to finish off the skin with just pure golden skin, and with this color I'm going to just put it on the sharpest edges and the places that are most exposed to light as an extreme highlight, just to push it up a little bit more. And this is going to go on the gums that are pink as well, to add a highlight to those sharp edges. Now I'm using THAR brown, and with this color I'm going just to pick up the teeth very carefully, not to get into other areas. Now to start painting the eyes, I'm going to use a little bit of Talazar blue, and with this color I'm going to color in the eye bags of the model, just to give them a little extra color. For the main color of the eye, I'm going to do them in red, and for that I'm going to use MEPHISTON red. And with this color I'm just going to color in the eyeball itself, the whole thing, just being very careful not to paint anything else. Once that's done, and to finish it off, I'm going to use some Flash GITZ yellow, and with this I'm going to paint a small dot on the middle of the eye to give it a fiery glow. Now I'm going to move on to paint the blue, and for that I'm going to use KANTOR blue again, and we are going to re-establish the blue color on the shirt or anything else you painted blue. And I'm going to just paint over most of the area, just leaving the places really facing down, and on the top parts I'm just going to leave the recesses on the shaded color. Now I'm going to start highlighting this blue with some Mediterranean blue, or you can use Teclis blue from Games Workshop. This color I'm going to use very sparingly, only on the top areas where the most light reflects. You can see your model underneath the light on your light source, and you can see some reflections of light where you see the brightest areas. You can set the model in a certain direction and find those areas, and then start highlighting those areas carefully. We don't want to use a lot of this color because we want to keep the dark blue look for this model. And to finish up, I'm going to use some sky blue, and with this color I'm just going to color in some dots on the very brightest places on the blues. This could be an edge highlight too on the very top facing edge that's facing the light source. You can do that. Now I'm going to use CASTELLAN green, and again I'm going to start cleaning up the places that I decided to paint this color. For this color is just the pants, but it's going to go over the whole area, just leaving the shadows and the recesses on the previous color. Most of the most important parts of this orc have already been painted. If you wanted, you can leave it like this, and this will be a very nice, even parade standard. It's a good looking model, but to finish it up I need to highlight all of the areas just in case you want to do that. To finish the green I'm going to use LOREN Forest, and this color is just going to go on the brightest areas of the pants, just the same as we did for the shirt. Once again I'm going to use RHINOX hide, and with this I'm going to bring back the color on all of the leather areas around the model, just leaving the recesses alone. To highlight the brown I'm going to use Walnut from scale 75, and with this color I'm going to mix it up with the brown to find a medium tone in between those, and with this color I'm going to paint all of the areas that are facing up just to give them a brighter tone. To finish the leather I'm going to use pure walnut, and I'm going to edge highlight all of the edges that are facing up or facing towards the light. Now I'm going to highlight the black, and for that I'm going to start with ESHIN gray, And with this color I'm going to edge highlight all of the edges that are facing up. You can do better by just painting the areas where the most light reflects. You can see the spotlights of where the light reflects off of the boots, and you can paint those areas, and that's it. To finish the boots, I'm going to use some DAWNSTONE, and I'm going to just pick some small little dots on the brightest parts of the black, and to give it a very sharp edge highlight, a very nice extreme highlight that is going to make it pop. Almost done with this model. I'm going to start highlighting the silver, and for that I'm going to use some trash metal. This color has a sort of a brownish tone, warm tone, that is going to look very good on raw metal, and this is going to go mostly on the edge of the blade and all of the edges of the silver. Now I'm going to color in the gold again. With Viking gold, I'm going to repaint the areas that are painted gold, just leaving the recesses on the previous color. And to finish it off, I just picked the most reflective parts and paint them with ELVEN gold, which is a very yellowy gold. And this is just going on those areas as very bright reflections of light. At the end I decided that my silvers didn't have quite enough contrast and they looked a little dull, so I used a little bit of white alchemy, which is mostly just white paint, white metallic paint from scale 75, and with this color I'm just going to color in the very edges and the most reflective parts of the metal. For the edge of the blade, I can do just some lines, some feathering out from the blade just to simulate like a very crude sharpening of the blade. But in other metallic parts, I can just paint the hottest highlights where most light reflects, and that's going to make it pop a lot more. And with this done, this is the finished model. That's all, my friends. Thank you very much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Let me know in the comments what other painting videos you would like to see me paint next, and I hope to see you in the next video.